AI will take my job. AI makes software engineers obsolete. AI is writing all the code now. There is so much BS all over the place. And I get it. If you're trying to break into the industry right now, you open LinkedIn and every second post tells you the ladder got pulled up before you got on it. So let me tell you where I'm coming from. So I've spent 9 years as a DevOps engineer before I've actually moved into developer advocacy. I have been doing this for over a decade, and right now I use AI agents every single day in my actual workflow on real infrastructure, not in demos. So in this video I'm going to give you the roadmap I would hand a junior in 2026, not the 2019 roadmap with the Kubernetes logo bolted on. But first, I think it's very important that we talk about what is real and what is noise, because the roadmap only makes sense once you understand what actually changed. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the job market is fine, because it's not. Stanford's Digital Economy Lab, using ADP payroll data, found that employment for software developers that are aged between 22 and 25 dropped about 16 to 20% from its peak in late 2022. At the same time, SignalFire found that new grad hiring at major tech companies is down somewhere between 50 and 65% compared to 2019, and those numbers are real. Do not let anyone tell you it's all in your head. Over that same period, hiring for experienced engineers stayed essentially stable, and the US Bureau of Labor Statistics still projects around 50% employment growth for software developers between 2024 and 2034, so this is roughly 5 times the average across all occupations. So if AI were actually replacing engineering, senior roles would be collapsing too. Even though seniors write more code than juniors do, they would actually be the biggest cost savings. But this is not what happened. What actually got automated is not engineering, it's the on-ramp, so boilerplating, simple bug fixes, unit tests, basic refactors, documentation. In any case, those were never the job. Those were just the training wheels, the tasks company gave you while you learned the code base because they were low risk and someone had to actually do them. So AI actually does those now, cheaper and faster than you, and that part is true. The panic is actually aimed at the wrong thing, so the problem is not that AI can actually do senior engineering work. The problem is that the traditional way used to be a senior engineer no longer exists, which means your roadmap has to actually skip those training wheels entirely. Now, why am I telling you to go into DevOps and platform engineering specifically instead of application development? Well, I can think about several reasons for that, but I'll only cover the ones that are most important. So first is the blast radius. So when an AI agent writes a React component, for example, and gets it wrong, you get a bug. But when an AI agent writes a Terraform apply and gets it wrong, you destroy a production database and take the company offline. Companies will actually let an agent write application code with a human reviewing the pull requests. They are dramatically slower to let an agent to actually touch infrastructure without someone who actually understands the system standing behind it. And that someone is actually the job. Secondly, I strongly believe that you cannot learn infrastructure from a tutorial the way you can learn a framework. You learn it by breaking things and fixing them. And that barrier is actually annoying, and it's exactly why the skill stays valuable in 2026. Now let's jump to the roadmap. So phase 1 is Linux and networking, and these matter even more now than they did a couple of years ago. When you ask an agent to fix a broken deployment and it confidently gives you a wrong answer, the only thing standing between that answer and production is whether you actually understand what is happening on the machine. For Linux, you should learn the file system hierarchy, processes and signals, systemd units, permissions and ownership, package management, log locations, and how to read journalctl without panicking. For networking, you should know the OSI model well enough to be useful, TCP versus UDP, DNS resolution end-to-end, HTTP and HTTPS, what TLS termination actually does, ports, NAT, subnet, CIDR notation, and basic routing. So here's what you can do when you get familiar with Linux and networking. Just rent a $5 VPS and host something real, no managed platform. You just buy the domain, point DNS, configure Nginx, get a Let's Encrypt cert, harden SSH, and when it breaks, you fix it yourself before you ask the AI. Phase 2, learn Git and one programming language. For Git, you should understand what a commit is, branching strategies, how to resolve conflicts without deleting the repo and recloning it, and what a pull request review actually looks like on a team. I actually have a 20-minute video available in the description that walks you through everything you need as a beginner. And now when it comes to programming, you should actually pick a single language. The most popular choices for DevOps engineering are Python and Golang. So Python's learning curve is actually easier and it helps you with more automation and tooling work. On the other hand, if you want to build Kubernetes controllers, operators, or cloud-native tooling, Golang is the right choice. At the same time, of course, you need to know Bash, and you should actually be comfortable with writing scripts with proper error handling. But Bash is not what gets you hired anymore, because Bash is exactly the kind of thing an agent writes perfectly on the first try. And here's the uncomfortable bit. You need to be able to actually read code well enough to review it. In 2026, a huge part of your job is reviewing things a machine wrote. If you cannot read Golang, you cannot review the operator your agent just generated. You are just clicking approve and just, praying everything is working fine. So what you can build after you got familiar with Git and a programming language? Well, a CLI tool that solves something that personally annoys you. Put it on GitHub with a README and do some tests, and include the CI after you learn how to do that. So phase 3, containers. You should invest some time in understanding containers using Docker. Start by understanding Docker images, containers, Docker files, registries, and how everything works together. Then go to volumes and networking, Docker Compose, and multi-stage build. In the video description, you'll see a video that can help you get started with Docker and another one that walks you through Docker files. You should also keep in mind that you should understand the difference between a virtual machine, container, and a micro VM. Knowing when to use what will actually come in handy in many DevOps projects. And what you can actually build here, well, take a simple application, containerize it, and try to get the image as small as possible. Push it to a registry, Docker Hub or GitHub Container Registry, and document everything that you've done. Phase 4, cloud technologies. So the first thing you need to do is actually pick your cloud provider. Amazon Web Services is a great choice because of how adopted it is, having more than 30% of the market, which is just incredible if you ask me. But you cannot go wrong with Azure, Google Cloud, or Oracle Cloud either. In either case, you should get familiar with networking, object storage, compute, IAM, load balancing, and DNS. What I would suggest is going through a Solutions Architect Associate course, not for the certification itself, but for learning the basics while pressing on the pedal to deep dive a little more. And what you can build here, well, you can create a secure network with VPC, subnets, route tables, internet gateway, NAT instance, and deploy an EC2 instance there with a security group. Ensure you can actually connect to the instance via SSH and deploy a simple application on it. Phase 5, infrastructure as code. Terraform or OpenTofu are my choices here. The core language and workflows are the same, so learning either one of them transfers. You need to understand at the minimum HCL, providers, resources, data sources, outputs, locals, state, modules, remote backends, and locking. Now here is the 2026 specific piece. AI is very good at generating Terraform. But sometimes the generated Terraform is expensively wrong. An agent will actually happily produce a plan that replaces a resource instead of updating it in place. The syntax will be valid, the plan will run, but the database will be gone. So the skill is actually not writing ACL anymore. The skill is reading a plan output and knowing which lines should make you stop. And you should practice that, generate infrastructure with an agent, then review the plan line by line before you actually apply anything. What you should build here, well, automate the project you've built when learning cloud providers using Terraform or OpenTofu. Phase 6, Kubernetes. So Kubernetes has actually crossed from nice to have into expected. It is the gateway skill into platform engineering, SRE, and DevOps roles. If you learn one thing on this list properly, make it Kubernetes. You should learn pods, deployments, services, config maps, secrets, namespaces, ingress, the gateway API, liveness, readiness, and startup probes and the difference between them, resource requests and limits, and what actually happens during OOM kill versus CPU throttling. I'm typically not a big fan of certifications, but when it comes to Kubernetes, you should get the CKA, not because the certificate is magic, but because it's a hands-on performance-based exam. You cannot actually memorize your way through it, and when a hiring manager sees CKA on a CV in 2026, they know you sat in a terminal for 2 hours under time pressure. So what you can build here, well, using a Minikube cluster, deploy several applications that have multiple pods, understand how they talk to each other, break them, debug them, and write down how you diagnosed each one. Phase 7, CI/CD. For me, GitHub Actions is the safest bet for learning because you will find the most examples and the concepts move over pretty easily to GitLab CI or anything else. So invest time in pipeline design, caching, matrix builds, secrets handling in OIDC so you actually stop putting long-lived cloud credentials in CI variables. Invest some time also in reusable workflows and environments and approval gates. What you should build here, well, you can create a CI/CD pipeline that builds Docker images and ensures these images are pushed to a registry of your choice when a pull request merges. I'm actually working on a video that does exactly this, and it will be available on my channel in the following weeks. Phase 8, Observability and Security. DevSecOps is the default in 2026 with checks in every phase of the delivery rather than having them at the end. So you'll see image scanning in CI, SBOMs in signing, secrets management, policy as code. So what you need to do is invest some time in Prometheus and PromQL, Grafana, OpenTelemetry, OPA, Kyverno, and a security scanner of your choice like Trivi. You also need to be able to secure AI agents, what can your coding agent reach, what can its MCP servers touch, and I have a full video on guardrails for this, and this is available in the video description. Now let's talk some more about where AI actually fits. So now everyone is tempted to use AI for everything. Yes, AI agents can help you learn, but I urge you to actually first attempt understanding things, get stuck, form a hypothesis, and if everything that you've tried doesn't work, you can bring in the agent. Once you have solid fundamentals, use agents hard. Around 90% of developers already do. Refusing does not make you principled, it actually makes you slow. And you should actually get good at giving agents real context, setting permission rules so they cannot run destructive commands, and review output critically. Every one of these requires you to actually already know the underlying thing. Cloud Code and Codex are great at that, and if you want a local agent that you can manage end-to-end, Hermes agent is actually a great choice. I have a video in the description that walks through Cloud Code tips, and another 2 videos about Hermes, one that walks you through how to set things up, and another one that shows you 9 different DevOps use cases. So what you should not do. So do not learn every CNCF tool. Do not touch a service mesh in year 1. You will not understand the problem it actually solves. Do not collect a dozen certifications and 0 projects. Do not take a prompt engineering course. You should learn the infrastructure first because prompting just takes you an afternoon. Do not invest time in learning 3 different cloud providers, and do not build another to-do app on Kubernetes because everyone has that and it actually signals nothing. And here's what actually makes you stand out. At the end of every phase, write about what you build, or if you're comfortable, record a video, blog post, LinkedIn post, short video. Format does not actually matter. So you should document the problem, what you tried, what broke, and how you found it, because a public trail of your reasoning is the one credential AI has not devalued. Anyone can actually generate a clean portfolio repo right now, but nobody can fake 9 months of working through real problems in public. I actually started writing about Terraform years ago. That series has over 200,000 views. It brought me clients and job offers that I never applied for. It was the highest leverage thing I ever did, and it cost me nothing but time. And in interviews, you should actually talk about systems and not tools. Anyone can list Kubernetes and Terraform, but you should describe the trade-off you evaluated, what broke, what you changed. That is a senior conversation, and having it as a junior is how you actually skip the queue. So let's recap: Linux and networking, Git in one language, containers, one cloud provider, IAC, Kubernetes, CI/CD, then observability and security. AI should be added as a layer, used after you struggle, not instead of struggling, and something built and something written for every phase. Is it harder right now to land a job than it was in 2019? Obviously, the on-ramp got removed and nobody replaced it, but harder and obsolete are very different words, and the internet keeps using the second one when it actually means the first. The people who actually do well over the next 5 years are the ones who understand the systems well enough to catch the machine when it's confidently wrong. And the reality is that this is getting scarcer because fewer people are willing to still sit through the boring part, and please be one of the people who actually sits through this boring part. If you found this useful, hit that like button and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.